Good afternoon, I'm Sumit Bose and welcome to another session as part of our consultants conference, which, as I said yesterday, we are so sorry we can't bring it to you in person. We know ELK really matters. We've had lots of great times with you all over the last few years in the Etihad, and as I say, we will be back. We hope to be back next year, obviously, as we all appreciate the issues around coronavirus mean that we have to do it all this week online. That doesn't mean the content isn't engaging. It doesn't mean that you haven't got a chance to find out things that will help you navigate your business and also help you with your customers. And that's kind of the theme today for this session, which is with Nicky Wilson-Everett, Head of Sales at OnlineDIRECT. Nicky, do you want to say hello?
Good afternoon, everybody.
How you doing, Nicky? Are you all right?
I'm good. Yeah, I am good. Enjoying the sunshine view out of my little office window. So
excellent.
Yeah,
it's the last day of sunshine, so let's all lap it up.
I'll go as quick as I can so people can get out in the sunshine then.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ladies and gents, we're going to run this for about 45 minutes. If you've not used Bright Talk before, it's a very simple platform. You can see that you can ask questions, which we'd ask you to do, and Nicky's happy to take them periodically through her presentation. We've got a couple of votes, which I'll put up, and you can say just A, B, or C, or D, whatever it is. And we'd like you to obviously rate the webinar at the end. Tell us what we did well, what we didn't do well, what you'd like to see, and that's basically it. So without further ado, I think it's a very important topic, Nicky, which is really what the end customer wants, as well as the balance from what the TPI wants. So I'll hand over control to you if you take everyone through your presentation.
Perfect. Thanks for it. And good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining this webinar. And again, sort of to reiterate what Sumit says, it's sorry we can't be there face-to-face, but hopefully you'll get something from the presentation. So my intention today really is to give you some insight into the views from our end customer and critically some of the thoughts of view the brokers. Some of the data from the presentation is of a variety of sources, including our annual OnlineDIRECT survey, which comes directly from our brokers. So I'll be looking to cover our perspective of TPI and, of course, the customers we serve. So let's start moving forward. So firstly, just those that don't know me or haven't worked with me, just a bit of background. I started off with field sales for a very well-known yellow directory. I remember a brutal 6 weeks on a residential where you earned your stripes in sales and only 30% of the course managed to complete. So that's kind of my background and grounding in sales. But I've always stayed in business-to-business environments, sort of covering advertising, software, and most recently energy, working with sort of big PLCs and also SMEs. So always focus on customer needs and solution-based sales, which is in line with you, the brokers. So I think as customer service and innovation is certainly the most powerful currency that we can see today, but for brokers, focusing on quality and service and best practice. A bit about the background of some of the senior leadership team at OnlineDIRECT. We've all come from varying backgrounds of finance, big PLCs and SMEs, so that although we are focused on energy, we are looking at the spectrum of business needs. And I suppose just to round off this sort of area, over the years in the industry, I've worked with probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of brokers, which helps us form strategy to improve our service offering. So enough about me. We're going to start talking about some of the people who sadly can't be here today, and they are the customers, who are without a doubt the most important people in our industry. And as a business, OnlineDIRECT challenges ourselves and remains focused on how we can focus on delivering value to your end customer, ensuring our brokers stay ahead of the game. And obviously there's a constant need to understand and serve them well, because if they're not served well, we'll certainly hear about it. The media coverage has taken quite a stern view over the years, and we'll look about that later and how that impacts us. So, as we move on to the customer, there's lots of stats that I'll be bringing up here, but I won't go through them all of them with you. But all of the businesses and the 5.9 businesses in the UK all have a need for energy, and all of which are looking for sort of trust, expertise and support when making their decisions. And this is probably going to be backed with good practice and great service. And they need to make their decisions based on their goals, whether it be sustainability or bottom line revenue. You know, some of them are just looking for the cheapest deal. And we've seen some of the best practices in the market at OnlineDIRECT and some of the worst, where you have deliberate attempts to exploit and not serve. So with this in mind, we've recently beefed up our compliance team to work and improving the broker's reputation out there in the market. So there's some more stats coming up for you there. And again, I think now more than ever, we need to offer an outstanding service, and our duty of care as brokers to the end customer with the current client out there is about passing on our knowledge. If we can't serve them effectively with what they need today and in the future, we won't have a business. So, as you know, or some of you won't know, OnlineDIRECT don't have direct relationships with the end customer, but what we aim to do is help you as brokers have a deeper and rewarding relationship with your long-term customers. And as much as we love you, it's obviously in our interest and a selfish view, because the more customers our brokers have, the better it is for us as a business. So introducing the first portion of our audience, and that's the SME businesses out there. Again, I'm going to sort of load some stats up as we go. But interestingly, the 81,000 micros we have there is the fourth highest in the world, behind the USA, but interestingly followed by Indonesia and the Czech Republic, which I was quite surprised with. And these micro businesses are a significant contributor to the economy and a segment that still seems to grow. And the sheer volume of these businesses is attractive to our community, but with an increasing trend towards sole traders working from home, and after the announcement today, how do we get around that as brokers? How's this going to play out about the blur between domestic and business energy? Is this an opportunity potentially for product innovation? As brokers, can you look to tailor packages and guidance for this emerging category? Home-based working has seen a sharp rise over the last few months, and yet we still haven't seen the full impact on the contracting element. So challenging times for the industry. And we've got the enterprises. Again, there's no surprise we're getting a top-down sort of pyramid effect seen by the micros that inherit the trends of big businesses. So sustainability and CSR are high up on the agenda, and you can see there 61% actively working on a CSR and sustainability strategy. Customer experience is the core of enterprise. How do we learn from this? How can we help our customers be more innovative and move that down into the SMEs and end customers that you guys will be working with? I'm going to move on, and here we go, Sumit, if I can pause it. First questions.
Absolutely. So we've got a couple of polls for you, and the first one is I'm going to put up what you think is the biggest energy-related challenge for your customers today. So carbon neutrality, pricing, management, a lack of understanding. So you can have a look at those and you can start voting. So carbon neutrality, pricing, management, or lack of understanding. Click away when you've got that. Hopefully it's coming through. We'll keep that running for a little while. Back to you, Nicky.
Perfect. And I guess everybody would have expected this to come up. It's the COVID. And I'm sure most people on this webinar will agree it's been one of the most challenging times for all businesses, and it's had a significant impact on us in the energy industry. And I think, never before has it been such a critical time for you as brokers, with suppliers putting in restrictions around credit and industries. Trying to even place renewals has given us significant challenges recently. And you can see some stats coming up here about the volumes of redundancies we're getting. With millennials moving back home to live with parents again for more home working, we're facing challenges, and we're, as a business, looking to how we can offer these subsidiary services other than just contracting to keep these guys engaged.
We've got some of the results. Do you want to have a look at them now?
Yeah, we can let's have a look.
Let's have a quick look. So we've got carbon neutrality at 5%, pricing 30%. This is quite interesting. Management 7%, but lack of understanding 56%. Why do you think is the biggest energy-related challenge for your customers? Lack of understanding.
Wow, that goes with everything that we see when we're recently launching as a business energy analytics, and interestingly with the brokers is how we get that across to them. So it's very much they're looking at price, but they're not understanding the impact in the future. And I would say that it's got to be the forefront. How on earth do we sort of translate that? So that doesn't surprise me from the feedback we get.
All right, let's run a second poll as well. So this one is, which customer group do you see has the biggest opportunity for you all out there for brokers and TPIs? So micro businesses, SMEs, corporates or enterprises? Who do you think will offer you the most opportunity? Bearing in mind where we are and what we are doing economically, this is where we are. So if you want to start voting now, micro businesses, SMEs, corporate and enterprise, we'll let that run in the background while you continue.
Fabulous, thank you. Here we go, the wonderful Brexit, which obviously over recent months has been trumped by the global pandemic. However, this is still a real factor in, that's impacting businesses in the UK. Look at the stats here, 52% of micro owners take Brexit as their biggest barrier to growth. Brexit set a tone for the business confidence. It has been a bit of a scapegoat for indecision. Is it real or is it imagined? We've seen a lot of contracts defer, people not wanting to sign contracts, they may just want to wait to see what happens. What was the effect on longer term deals? We did see it earlier part of the year that, contract volumes were going up, and that was the reason why. We've got warned fears that there'll be production closing down in the UK if no free trade. Brexit revival on the flip hand is saying, come back to the UK manufacturing. So I think it's something we need to be aware of. And over the last few months, as I said, with the global pandemic stepping forward, this has been pushed to the background. So again, it's having those conversations with the end customers to understand what their fears are, how can we get around it. And again, that piece where we said about that lack of knowledge and lack of understanding, this is where we play our part in the marketplace, 100%.
Let me just give you the results of the poll. We'll stop it now. This is also quite significant. So which customer group do you see as the biggest opportunity for you out there, brokers? And you seem to suggest it's a tie between SMEs and corporates. 8% for micro, SME 45%, corporate 42%, and enterprise 2%. Again, I suppose that's not that surprising, is it, Nicky?
No, they'll be in line with what I'd be expecting to see, and the balance of where we're working in the marketplace. Okay. And again, I'll take all these stats down and probably give some bigger feedback afterwards, and there may be more questions coming into the audience that tie in with that one. Okay, let's move forward. So I guess let's look here. It's the old adage of, where do we step in? Businesses, whether they be SME, micros, have the issue of lack of time and wanting to save money. These challenges have always been there, and there's nothing new. What we see is funding more accessible from angels and venture capitalists, and options is no longer just the bank. So the role of the broker even more is being this trusted advisor, taking away the problems and coming up with solutions that will save these businesses time and money. And I think that's always got to be at the forefront of your proposition, whether it's with your existing customers you've had for years, or whether you're trying to acquire. In our current climate, it's become even more of a challenge for customers. They're having to adapt and focus on driving their business, and having that trusted advisor to take away the headache of energy will help them on the biggest issue that they have with time and money. Then we're moving on. Okay, so the socio and cultural. How's the market looking out there? This is a nice one for me. 34% of SMEs are led by women, which is growing, slower than I'd like to see, but up 4% on 2018. I guess the point behind this slide is that it's, diversifying. And again, you need to be speaking to your end customer. The people fundamentally will buy people. And are we mirroring the solutions to our relevant audience? And it's basically about adapting. The more diverse the decision makers, different priorities and motivations, have we found that, women tend to focus more on sustainability. Whether you all find this true, it's a slight stat that we found. Are we all equipped to understand that end customer and, the different socio-demographics? This is more of an insight into sort of buying behaviours. There's 3 key areas, obviously awareness, research, and then purchase. As a community of brokers, we've historically, and I will say historically, been outbound mindset. There's been this theory that we hit the phones playing a numbers game. What we've got to look at is how people want to buy now, because the research is telling us different. We're dealing with time-poor, information-rich businesses, and with the diversity of the marketplace out there and the access that we have, to the internet and Google, Twitter, it makes an impact. 17% that use online reviews, can have an impact. You make or break with one negative comment or piece of feedback that comes through these channels. The research, online presence, have you all got the right statistics backups? Have you got the right web presence to be giving this information before people buy? And again, the biggest one here, 49% recommendations from another business. How are you actually capitalising on your existing customer base and making sure that you're delivering against the recommendation place here? So we've spent some time looking about what different businesses, communities. So what about, the trends of how businesses are consuming energy? There's some interesting stats in here. I'm not going to read through them all. One of the biggest key things here from our partners on PwC, 71% have an energy strategy, gone up from 65% in 2017. So really interesting here that energy strategies is an opportunity now for brokers to get into this conversation. Energy climbing up the business agenda for businesses of all sizes. We've got other areas, petrol and diesel cars. We're accelerating plans to ban from 2035. And it's our job to increase the awareness of consumption and green objectives to give you these opportunities when speaking with your clients or customers. Okay, so this is the boo here. So the press has given, obviously, a negative, and we've been villainised as an industry, negative press that we need to combat to be able to sell against it. You'll just see some of the articles that are coming up over the last year that we've seen. And again, as a business, we're trying to combat to enable our brokers to be no longer just transactional, diversifying our offering and, hitting back at the negatives we've seen. It's not all about just getting, a quick contract, processed through, putting it 5 years with a max uplift. Are we now talking about renewable opportunities? Are we looking at energy consumptions? Are we looking at sustainability? So, increasing having an energy strategy is one of the key areas we're looking at. And, focus on businesses, consumption, sustainability, and as we mentioned earlier on, coming back to the, corporate and social responsibility that is high up on the agenda, particularly of the enterprise.
Here's the question. Aside of COVID-19, what's the biggest challenge facing your business today? And this is quite interesting. So, threat of regulations, new business, diversification, back office admin, and finding good people. So let's see, put the poll up there for you to have a go at. So aside of COVID-19, what's the biggest challenge facing your business today? Threats of regulation, new business, diversification, back office, and finding good people. Do vote now.
So this is the bit about you guys. So introducing you, the brokers, and what have we seen? You're getting younger. And there is no surprise we're seeing a slight shift in age. Again, with the market access even, easier for Google, how do I become an energy broker? And as a business, we've seen significant interest over the last 3 months and, in entering the energy market. Just to give you a stat, since April 2020, we've had over 245 inquiries wanting support from OnlineDIRECT as a business aggregator, and that's from one-man bands that are setting up on their own to those that are spreading their wings, maybe historically worked for a larger brokerage. Again, we can see a geographical spread, 31% down in the southeast, 18% up in the northeast, and slowly again we're finding the diversity is changing. So there is more of a shift of females that are out there in the marketplace. Not quite the growth again I'd like to see, but they are certainly getting young, more on the female side. Interestingly, OnlineDIRECT, our split is 100% female on our senior leadership team. And again, this wasn't by design, but more about organic growth within the, the best people in the business for those roles. So we're slightly ahead of their game there.
I'll give you the stats, and this is quite interesting what you just said about diversity. So the vote, thanks for voting. So we've got, aside of COVID-19, biggest challenge, 23% threat of regulation, a third saying new business, which is obviously true. Diversification, 0%. So either you're not interested or you're all happy with that, which is quite interesting. Back office, and 36%, so the most is finding good people, which I suppose is the key thing anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a good shout. And I think, again, with the marketplace at the moment, there are or will be some very good, energy experience out there on the marketplace. It's a time to potentially capitalise and grow, even in the, the current climate. One of the things that we've seen, contract length. are getting longer. I will caveat this being beginning part of the year because over the recent COVID period, we have seen them shrink significantly. We are finding that 12 months seems to be the obvious one that's going out. So yeah, we do see contract length and Brexit being played into this, but they've recently dropped down. We had a spike a couple of weeks ago where it was running at 24 months, but again, it only takes the suppliers to pull back and then retract the contract length. Okay, so there's the poll here. These are the stats that we had on what's most important to you back in 2018. So back office, commissions were less important, access suppliers obviously being up, new business, but technology being up. So I wonder if this is in line with people looking at diversification. And again, brokers are starting to score their business performance up, not massively, but up from 6.4 in 2019, up from 5.96 in 2018. So improvement seen there.
Yeah, let's run the vote again, which is the last one. Where do you need the biggest amount of support today? So in your business, is it sales? Makes sense. Admin, customer service, marketing, or training? So you can start voting for that. So sales, admin, customer service, marketing, or training. Do vote while we get that together. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. So you might have to go back a couple of slides again.
I'm just going to let them load down and let people read through. So this was back in top 5 fears, 2018 versus 2019. So say finding new business actually went down. Keeping existing business, and I do believe right now that will be right on the top of everybody's agenda. And our role is to help you get better at doing this. So the impact of COVID, we need to look at putting in strategies to completely support. Where's the industry's going? There's no surprise. There's always fear around that. There's restrictions coming through. So again, it's talking about longer-term strategies for you as a broker and the increased complexity potentially coming around admin and processing. I'm pretty sure this would resonate with most of you out there at the moment.
I think we're pretty much there on the poll. Should we go for it?
Yeah, let's go. I'll click that.
So your answers were this, ladies and gents. Pretty spread out, actually. So where do you need the biggest amount of support? Well, I'm not surprised. Sales, 34%. Back office, 17%. Customer service, 13%. Marketing, which is quite interesting, 21%. And training, 13%. But obviously, wherever you are, every time you need sales, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Again, right now, everything is, we're seeing that people are, margins are coming down. Every contract, again, they're fighting for. So we've seen that, significantly uplifts are coming down because competition in the market, and that's a protection around those renewals more than ever. Okay. So if we look at a summary around end users, you can see here, this is pre-COVID, but the UK business community was moving into a growth mode. And again, this is resonant right now. Home-based business and sole traders is something we really need to focus on as an industry. How can we protect those? And then increasing our exposure that historically has been given, this bad practice. How do we get around that? So it's about diversifying. We've got brokers are getting younger. Contracts are getting longer. And, how do we respond to more choice? And that's going to be choice in product, but more than ever, choice in competition. And I think, again, it's making sure you've got a strategy around each one of your customers to make sure that we're focusing on that retention. Because, once we look at all of those, we're protecting your business in full. I guess this is where we have our little bit of our pitch in here, but how do we help you? Focus on giving brokers the ability to do what they do best and take your headaches away. So we're always investing, tech, giving you the top-end platforms, to price, whether that be SME or corporate. Unparalleled access to as many, products and pricing tiers that we can give you. And the biggest thing we've got, is 100+ experts sitting in the background supporting your business so that you can go out and do what you need to do. And it all resonates with the answers you've given. You want to go out and sell. So I'm glad that slide matched what your feedback was there. And again, helping our brokers grow and build and improve is key. And it's fundamental to our success. So we're giving the chance to repair industry's reputation. So all of the compliance that we're doing, push back against the public backlash, compliance and making sure that every contract you put through goes through at the best live rate. We're focusing on giving you a service. We're improving processes in the background, and any value-added training on any products is there for you. So one of the recent launches from OnlineDIRECT was our energy analytic platform. And this is the first step really in giving you, the broker, that visibility and window into your end customers' usage and consumption, and the ability to have really good conversations and engage in them. So no longer is it about, the cheapest deal. It's about that longevity that you have with that customer. How can we long-term improve their sustainability? Let's look at, comparisons of maybe two different shops they've got, and how can we drive one down? And we've seen massive engagement from this, and this is all integrated into our Energy Engine pricing platform. So again, we've got plenty more to come over the next 12 months, but so far we've seen great uptake on the energy analytics, which hopefully will therefore give the end customer that view. But we have now got time, I guess, to look at some of the questions from the audience.
Let's do some of these questions, Nicky, because I know we've got about 15 minutes, so you've got plenty of questions. Let's start with a simple one. Here's an easy hit. We'll do. We might as well carry on the theme of going completely fast, crazy.
Go on.
Does OnlineDIRECT offer a water consolidation service?
Yes, we do. So we have a dedicated water and new connections channel. And again, if anybody isn't with OnlineDIRECT, they can obviously reach out to me through LinkedIn or Zoom. You can pass my details on. I can put you in touch. So yes.
What part, and this is quite an interesting one about the knowledge here, what part do brokers play on helping their customers to understand offers and the market? I mean, I suppose it's pretty much the whole job, isn't it now?
Yeah. Yes, basically. There's two ways. You've got the face-to-face, more consultancy approach, but it is down to that broker. For an end user, when they get bills, particularly if looking at the INC and corporate bills, you need a degree to understand what we're actually charging for. So the role of that broker is understanding, for me, what is the end customer's end goal? Have they got a 5-year strategy? Are we right now just looking at best price, or have we got a strategy, to reduce consumption, etc.? So yeah, the role really is having that conversation with the customer and understanding their end needs, and then matching the product. And is it green that we're looking for? And making sure we're going to the right suppliers. So they really should be doing a full-on consultancy for the end customer. And now more than ever, because I said, businesses need to just focus on running their business, and energy will be way down their list. Yeah.
A question about kind of agreements here. What are your views, Nicky, on energy or water suppliers asking TPIs to sign up to their broker agreements? There seems to be some sort of consternation, mixed response to the one recently released by E.ON. I mean, it is becoming quite more commonplace, isn't it, a set of agreements that you have to sign up to. What's your view on that?
Yeah, it's mixed. I guess if you look at the end customer, and this is all about the end customer, the suppliers are trying to protect the end customer. Some of them are tougher than others, and E.ON is one that we all know about, certainly through OnlineDIRECT. When you join up, you have to sign up to the E.ON TPI Code of Conduct. As OnlineDIRECT, as the TPI to the end suppliers, we have to jump through an awful lot of hoops. We go through audits pretty much quarterly with most of the suppliers, where they're checking on compliance, quality of contracts, understanding of the market. So I think it's good for the end customer to understand from the supplier's point of view, they know contracts are getting sold, correctly. Does the end customer understand what?
Yeah, and I think that, it's quite an important thing, and I think this is, there's a secondary part to this. Another person has asked, which I assume this is quite regular, fair that's going to happen. Is do you believe that kind of, TPI regulation isn't far down the line?
In all honesty, I'm seeing more traction recently over the last few months. I'm getting a lot of questions personally from suppliers about my thoughts into it. We all know that the Ofgem have got their review going on. So, yes, I think there will be something that comes into place. Can I give you a timescale on it? No, because it's been rumbling around for 5 years. But
absolutely,
seems to be moving. I've had more emails come through and questions from suppliers about my perspective. So I do have a feeling we will see something next year. What? I'm not sure.
Might be a bit of a slippery one, but I know you can handle all of this stuff, Nicky. So
Thanks, Nick.
what part do you think brokers and TPI should play on the recommendation of a supplier offer when you know that suppliers are sometimes buying the business, won't be able to sustain the price or level of service? And I suppose this is the real crux of it, isn't it? Because obviously, most get their money from the supplier, some direct, but it is the end customer that you have to give the fairest deal to. So are you sort of very clear that if you sign up, these are offers that are temporary, or this is, pretty much a loss leader could be for the suppliers that you recommend? How do you work on that front?
Well, again, this is interesting. So because we don't have the direct contract with the end customer, we rely on recommendations from brokers. Obviously, we have account managers, and what we try and do, particularly around the bigger corporate ones, is understand that end customer need. We equally don't take on all suppliers for certain reasons. So we all know about, Extra. They're no longer with us. We saw the patterns of what happened. They bought in and they were buying contracts. We all knew when the renewals came out what happened. Prices went crazy. So we're very, very, strict on who will actually work with us at supplier level, because we need to have confidence that those contracts will see the term of the value out, and almost question them when we onboard them about what their strategy would be at renewal. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think it does, but this one's a sort of adjunct to it, which is, I suppose you touched on it. What are you looking for in a supplier, and where does the speed stroke ease of contracting figure for you guys? I suppose that must be quite high.
Yes, very high. With the volume of contracts we have, they've got to be, within the pricing structure again, we've got a great portfolio and a matrix of SME prices. So one of the first things we'll always do when we speak to a supplier is benchmark. If you don't come in on that first page, what are you going to offer to the customer? Because unfortunately, price is still a decisive factor. So they've got to have strong prices. We would expect them to be giving at least a 1, 2 and 3 year price as a minimum. Ideally, they'll do both SME and INC. And then what we will try and do is wrap around SLAs as well, that they're at least achieving what our sort of top 3 suppliers would do. And sometimes with some suppliers, we've actually said, okay, look, we'd love to have you on board, but you're not ready yet. And some of the better suppliers have also said, yeah, we'd love to work with you, but we can't take you on yet, because they know that you suddenly have an influx of contracts, it would break their system. So, yeah, we do go through quite a lot. And an onboarding of a supplier can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months to get on board with us.
There are many rogue brokers, and this is true. We know that. This is what we set up Telca for, to try and weed those people out, to reward the right ones. And there are many rogue brokers in the industry, this question says, and some suppliers, and people are pointing the finger at aggregators. How diligent are aggregators when working with new brokers stroke consultants?
Oh, I like that question. I wish I had my compliance manager on now. Very. Very is my answer. So even to come on board with this, so we, if it was an online inquiry, we go through rigorous checks, background checks to see whether they've ever been with a broker that maybe didn't work particularly well. We'll go through their history and their experience within the energy industry. When they do come on board, and that could take a 2-week process by the time we've done all the checks, making sure they've got ICO certificates. We'll take them through training. We will then do 100% audit calls on all contracts, sometimes longer if they're spaced out. And all of the verbals are fully listened to by the back-end support, and contacts on corporate will always be double-checked by our corporate account management team. Just to give an indication, out of the 245 applications we had, we only took on 15%.
Wow, that's quite shocking.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That really shows the.
But hopefully that won't get rid of the theory that aggregators are culprits, because we place compliance so high, and we say to suppliers, come to us, because actually we're going to do all the hard work for you, and we will be screening. So very, very hard on the agenda.
Let's do a couple of COVID questions, obviously. Which customer segment, someone asked, do you believe poses the most credit risk post-COVID-19?
Oof, I can only give you the experience of what I'm seeing, and I don't think there'll be any surprises. The leisure industry, across the board, hotels, they're getting absolutely hammered. There's no other word for it. We've seen some really solid credit scores coming in from businesses, We've got proof of accounts. We've done all sorts, and yet there is this, real reticence from the suppliers to offer contracts. It's really bizarre. There's no one rule of thumb here. I wish I could say to you, supplier X is brilliant and they're taking everybody on, but there isn't. It is a case of that you're trying to get a contract through. At the moment, you may have to attempt 4 or 5 different suppliers, which is frustrating for broker and for customer, because I can't say to you, if you go to this supplier with that credit score, you will get that contract through, because it's not happening. Sorry, I can't answer that one any better. But leisure is the one that I still see that's going to be for a long while.
I think it's fairly likely that's going to happen. We've seen a question that says we've seen a big hit, obviously, on the cost of electricity delivery due to COVID demand reduction and higher renewables. Yeah. We need a seismic change in the relationship with the customer, the meaning of time, knowing that we now have 9 suppliers offering dynamic prices every day to half-hourly meters. Do you think that we need to have some sort of customer empowerment with responsibility? Because obviously, as this happens, as we increase the ability for prosumers to be involved, they'll have a level of bartering in terms of how they use their energy. So I suppose that's quite an interesting one of where the future of energy will be, in terms of you may be looking on the customer to give you what you need at the time that you want to offer it to someone else.
Yeah, it's I mean, that to me is a good question. I'm just going to reread here now. So, it's gone.
Oh,
you got rid of it. No.
Oh, sorry.
I was just replaying it, but I think there is a lot comes back on the customer. And again, I guess the broker's point of view, it's having that relationship. It's being able to ask the questions, and there will be more reliance because there's more pressures coming down on them with restrictions, as we know. So, yeah.
I'm just going to end with 2 quick ones. Do all SMEs want to deal with their accounts online? That is true, because there are very different levels of people running SMEs and how au fait they are with technology. And for the ones who aren't, what sort of offers do you have?
Yeah, interestingly, a lot of we've got a mix of, the corporate brokers going face to face. A lot of our deals, I'm still seeing, surprisingly, in 2020, are done verbal. So I think there is a lot of online research, but I still think there's reliance on conducting, the hard signature contract. As I said, it's the brokers that use our service online for speed, but I still think there's a place for that recommendation and relationship. And that those, across the board, there are customers that don't understand it still. So even, you compare the market type places, it's great, but do they know what they're actually signing into? So, there's definitely still a marketplace out there that wants to be dealt with by a human being.
Well, you've teed that one up. This is the last question. Are we going to be replaced? Do we need automatic solutions? The customer has more important things to do with their time than controlling time and energy use. Are we all going to be... Well, if it's a robots like the one running the computer right now, we don't want them involved.
No, I don't. I think I've probably answered that already. I think there's, again, I think probably more need again for that personal understanding side of thing. And if, when you get the slides, people in the right order, the education is more important now. And I think if we can get into our customers that, just take a bit of the time in understanding their business more, we will still save them time and money. Go back with a proper presentation and let's bring the reputation of brokers back up there, because, brokers do a great job. It's unfortunate we've had bad press recently. So, I would say use the relationships, use that old-fashioned sales and understanding customer needs. And we've still got a long way to go that, droids will not take over.
Apart from R2, because he can come anytime. Ladies and gents, please, thank you very much to Nicky.
Any questions I didn't answer, please, send them in to Summit, and I'll get back to you all individually on that.
Please rate this webinar. So I think she's done a brilliant job, so just rate it. Tell us what we can do better. We've got a session tomorrow at 11 o'clock, the next one, which is all with SSE Business Energy, looking at third-party costs and green recovery post-COVID. And remember, if you are a broker at TPI, you've still got till the end of this month to enter Telco, which is much different format this year. We're doing a report based on kind of the attitudes and what you're doing and a lot of the behaviors that Nicky's outlined today. So it's open to all, it's free to enter. So do just go onto our page on NG Live News and click Enter Telco now. Nicky, thank you so much for that. Ladies and gents, thank you for listening, and we shall see you very soon.